So the way that that the Arizal, that the system of the Arizal is giving over all the movements of consciousness and like how Hashem reveals Himself in the world, He does it in the mashal of a family, right? And the center point of like the family and the center point of and the center point of like how new Torah comes into the world and how revelation happens is with the mother giving birth to the child, right? That's the mother kind of meaning to express in Kabbalah like the idea of bina or understanding, and the child, which represents the masculine child, it represents the idea of how that idea of new insight or understanding gives birth to new emotions. And then finally, the daughter, which kind of represent the idea of taking that emotion and then it coming into words and coming into like expression, which then become the father of like the backbone of how we see our reality. So the center point of all of that really comes in a large part of like the Eitz Chaim is speaking about how what happens, how does the mother give birth to to Zer Anpin, which is like this idea of how insight brings about new emotions, according to Hasidut. And one of the concepts that is like spoke about is about how at first that there's like a union between the mother and the father, right, which happens that like two different seed ideas come in and come together, and then they go into the rechem, into the womb of the mother. And in that womb of the mother, they kind of collate together, a bit of the father and a bit of the mother. And then the mother goes through the process of taking the seed and breaking it down into components. And these two things represent Chachma. The father represents Chachma, which is the seed idea. And Bina, which is the mother, represents the idea of breaking things down into details, into many different parts and components, which is the 9-month cycle of like giving birth to a child. What's interesting is, and then when we were speaking about this, about the idea of the womb and what that represents, that what it explains is that really that the mother, when she's giving birth, that she is retracting her lower self, which is called the Netzachot and Yesod of Ima, right? Which is like really like what she is like giving out to the other, right? And all of that energy kind of like comes in all the way up into her chest, which represents like how she's relating to like herself. It represents like her heart space. It represents, the place in which the child is being like housed in the last 3 months of the gestation period of the child. Now the Arizal brings that the mother's legs rise up into like her heart space in order for 3 reasons. One of the reason is like with that intense amount of light, it's able to like push out the child, right? And another reason that is like given is that it's in order for her legs to become the new brain and eventually bodies of the new child. The third reason is with all that light that there's, that her breasts come out and they become, in order to go into the second process, get ready to milk the child for the second period of the child's growth, which is the idea of the child then getting a new level of consciousness, a new level of mochin in order to like kind of see and interact with like the world.